In Affinity Photo, you can use all kinds of shape designs, but the star's a really useful one for some truly weird designs. So I'm just going to create this star. Now just go over here and select the star tool. Here it is, star tool. And I'm going to go for not 5 points, I'm going to go for something like about 17. So you can manipulate the number of points, and I'm also going to resize it a bit. I'm going to make it smaller later, but I'm just going to increase the size now. And you can see the design here. Now it's filled with a gradient, but in the stroke, the fill itself is actually set to nothing. So click here, and you can see I've just clicked here. Just set it to nothing. And the stroke, just click there, and you can set it up to all kinds of gradients. So here I've got a red, green. So if you want to add a stop, just simply double click, and then click here, and then change the colour, so maybe to a green there or yellow, etc. And you can add, and you can also move things along and delete stops. So all kinds of different designs can be created. But also what you can do is you can set it to linear, elliptical or radial. And this one is going to be a radial one. Now you might want to manipulate it further. You might be happy with what you've got here, but be reasonable. But if you want to, you can simply go over here with that design there, as long as it's selected. Go to the gradient tool, and then you can manipulate it by using the stroke. Just go to context, and then you can just simply just drag like that. So you can reposition it if you want. But I'm going to go for the center, so you can just see I can drag it out like that. And I'm going to go with that. Well, what you can also do is you can apply effects to it. It's a layer, so you can go over here to the layers panel. You can find that in the window menu and layers, and go down the bottom, and there's effects. So click there. And then I'm just going to go for 3D. There's a number of options, but Bevel and Boss is pretty good as well. But 3D, just going to increase that. So make it nice and rounded. So 25, 26. Now the gradient is still live. So if you want to, you can still edit that. You can also add a gradient overlay and combine to create more complex gradient designs. Or use colour and then use blending modes with that. But also what you can do is you can go to outer shadow. I'm just going to add a bit of there. I'm going to go for about halfway and intensity halfway as well. It seems about the nicest shadow design. And then click close. Well, at this point, what I want to do is I want to manipulate the star design, but not as a shape anymore, but as a pixel. So I'm just going to go here with star selected, go to layer, and you can go down here and there's rasterize. So rasterize, click that, and deselect the preserve layer effects. I want the effect, but I don't want the effect to be actually manipulated over here. So I want this just to turn into completely a pixel layer. So rasterize, and that's what happens when you can see now you've got no effects there. So it's all one design. Now you might notice that you might have it cropped or something. In this case, I haven't, which is luckily. Sometimes when you have effects, you might find you have to undo it and then reapply them because you might see it cropped at the edge. In this case, it doesn't do it. Okay, so I can resize this design and I can make it fairly small. Not too small, but say something like that. Because what I want to now do is use the 2.3 feature, the great move and duplicate. I've used this in a number of videos. I think it's really cool. And it's a real great sort of way of creating some truly unusual designs with something like very basic like that. So make certain the move tool selected. Press return or enter. That's on the keyboard. And the panel will pop up. Move and duplicate. Now it doesn't look like very much. It's got a bit of functionality here. Rotation. Well, what you can do, you can rotate. So you can just apply a very quick rotation. Doesn't look very good either until you do duplicate. And as soon as you do the number of duplicates, you can see you can create a design like that, which is pretty nice. But also what you can do is you can go here to scale. Now you can go the other way. You can see, just make it very small. But actually I quite like to go the other way. And the reason being is that you can see now what happens if you just push it. You don't want to push it too far because you can see you might get some sort of very sort of pixelization there, which doesn't look great. But you can see now you get this really lovely, obviously the center of that design sort of stretching, and it all stretches outwards. And you can still continue with the rotation. You might say, you know what, 6, 7, and you can see you can do that. You might say, let's go for number of copies, maybe 18 or 20. Maybe reduce the scale so you can see you can create a variety of different designs. Maybe just reduce it down to 119. then increase the number of copies again. Now it's already probably off the screen, so you can see it just whizzes off. So you might like to keep, just work out 114, maybe 111, a number of copies you can increase. And you can see as you do that, you can create all kinds of weird and wonderful symmetrical designs. And you can see you've got that central part there. And of course, you can still manipulate design even further. So click OK. What that does, creates multiple layers. And these layers can all be then manipulated further. So if you want to, you can select them all, right click, and you can then group. They're all grouped into one. And then of course then you can move it around, but you can also right click and go down here to rasterize. And with that, it's turned into a pixel layer. And then you can manipulate that further, maybe apply other effects. So move tool. Now you can see as you drag it around there, you've got that design, you can reposition it. And of course you could also press return and do exactly the same again. Return or enter and use duplicate, and then you can create multiple copies of that. And you can see scale there, reduce that down to create, again, unusual designs there with rotation and so on. Or maybe go with this, just change that. Insertion mode. You can see just subtle change there. You can see that flies off into that central part, or go the other way. And again, change insertion mode and so on. You don't have to, of course, but it's an option. You can use that. Maybe combine that with blend mode. So you can say, oh, I don't want normal. I can go here for negation. Doesn't look really change if you actually use it with just one layer. But if you go and press return again or enter, and you've got this, and you've got the scale, and then you can see as you create numbers, go click duplicate, you can see what happens then. It creates some very weird and wonderful combinations like that. Creates a very unusual effect. And that's just with one layer. Of course, you can have multiple, 5, 10, maybe use lighten or difference as well. Creates a great effect as well. Hope you found this tutorial of interest. Any questions, please let me know in the comments below. A like or dislike, always appreciated. Bye.